The laugh came from behind me the moment I stepped into the driveway. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't surprised. It was the kind of laugh that already had an opinion attached to it. I didn't turn right away. I already knew whose it was. My uncle Victor Hale stood near the garage with his arms crossed, grinning like he'd just won something. Beside him, my cousin Logan leaned casually against a bright red sports car that looked freshly washed, polished, and placed there on purpose. The hood reflected the afternoon sun like a mirror begging for attention. "Well," Victor said loudly, not bothering to lower his voice, "look who finally showed up." Logan glanced at his watch dramatically. "Traffic must be tough when you're still grinding, huh?" A couple of relatives nearby laughed. Not hard. Just enough to show they were on his side. I shut my car door and forced my shoulders back. My sedan was older, quiet, and parked awkwardly on the street since the driveway was already full. I could feel the comparison before a word was said, his shiny win versus my quiet arrival. "Hi," I said simply. Victor's eyes scanned me head to toe. Not in concern. In evaluation. "Still doing your little tech thing?" "It's not little," I replied. Logan smirked. "Sure it is. If it was big, we'd know about it." That one landed. It always did. I walked past them toward the house, heels clicking against the concrete, pretending I didn't hear the soft snort of laughter behind me. Inside, the place was buzzing. Music low, conversations loud, the smell of grilled food filling every corner. This was supposed to be a casual family get-together. That's what the group text had said. But with the way everyone was dressed and the way Logan's car was parked like a centerpiece, it felt more like a celebration of him. I spotted my aunt near the kitchen island. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes.
"There you are," she said.
"I was starting to think you weren't coming." "I said I would," I replied. She tilted her head. "You look busy." That was her word.
Busy.
Another way of saying tired, behind, struggling. "I am," I said. In a good way. Before she could respond, Victor's voice carried in from the patio. "Everyone, you've got to see this car in the daylight." People drifted outside like they were being pulled by a magnet. I followed, slower, stopping near the edge of the group. Logan stood taller now, hands in his pockets, soaking it in. "Custom interior," he said. "Imported parts. Took months to get delivered." Someone whistled. Someone else asked how much it cost. Logan shrugged. "Let's just say it wasn't cheap." Victor beamed. "That's what happens when you aim high," he said, then glanced straight at me. "Some people do. Some people don't." I felt that familiar tightening in my chest. Not embarrassment anymore. Something sharper. Something tired. I didn't respond. I'd learned that silence bothered them more than arguing ever did. Logan leaned closer to Victor and said, "Just loud enough. At least she's consistent." I looked up. Consistent at what? He smiled, keeping expectations low. A few people laughed again. Not everyone, but enough. I nodded slowly, like I was considering his words. "Yeah," I said. "Consistency matters." Victor chuckled. "Face it," he added, waving a hand dismissively. "Some folks are meant to shine. Others are meant to struggle. And there's no shame in that." He paused, then delivered the line like a verdict. "She's still struggling." For a second, nobody spoke. Then, from inside the house, the television volume abruptly rose, sharp, urgent, cutting through the patio noise. "Breaking news," the anchor announced. "Zenith Tech has officially been valued at $620 million. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Logan's smile faltered. Victor turned toward the open door. I didn't move. I just watched their faces change. And for the first time that night, I smiled, not because I'd been insulted, but because I knew exactly what was coming next. The patio stayed frozen as the news anchor kept talking. Following today's investor briefing in New York, Zenith Tech's valuation places it among the fastest-growing private companies in the country. Victor squinted toward the open door. "Zenith Tech," he muttered. "I've heard that name." Logan frowned. "Isn't that some startup?" I folded my arms loosely, leaning back against the patio railing. My heart wasn't racing. It felt steady, calm in a way that surprised even me. Inside, the TV showed footage of a packed auditorium. Bright lights. A massive screen behind a stage. The Zenith Tech logo filled it, clean, bold, unmistakable. The anchor continued. The company's founder is expected to appear on stage any moment now to address the press. A few relatives drifted closer to the doorway, curiosity pulling them in. Someone turned the volume up more. Logan laughed under his breath. $620 million for a tech company. Must be hype. Victor nodded. These things come and go. I raised an eyebrow. Funny, I said lightly. That's not what the market thinks. Victor glanced at me, annoyed. Oh, you an expert now. I shrugged. I pay attention. On the screen, the camera cut to the audience clapping. The lights dimmed. Music swelled. A host stepped up to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, please welcome the founder and CEO of Zenith Tech. Applause exploded from the speakers. Logan leaned forward. Okay, I want to see this. Victor crossed his arms again, skeptical but hooked. I stepped closer to the doorway too, not to see better, but because I didn't want to miss a single expression on their faces. The camera panned toward the stage entrance. A silhouette appeared. Someone in the group whispered, "Here we go." The figure stepped into the light. The screen sharpened. The room went dead silent. Logan blinked once. Then twice. Wait. Victor's mouth opened slightly. No sound came out. Because there I was. Not the version they knew, the quiet one at the edge of the patio. But the one on the screen, standing tall in a tailored blazer, hair pulled back, calm and focused. The Zenith Tech logo glowed behind me like it belonged there. Like I belonged there. My aunt gasped. Is that? Logan turned slowly toward me, his face pale. That's Rory. I finished for him. On screen, I smiled at the crowd and adjusted the microphone. Thank you, the TV version of me said. This journey started small, with long nights, limited resources, and a belief that technology should actually solve real problems. Victor looked from the screen to me, then back again like his brain couldn't sync the images. That's not possible, he muttered. I met his eyes. It is. Logan shook his head. You said you were still working on things. I was, I replied, building them. On the TV, I continued speaking. People told me it wasn't practical, that it wouldn't scale, that I should be realistic. My uncle swallowed hard. The words kept landing, one after another, each one sharper than the last. Victor cleared his throat. You never said. You never asked, I said gently. On screen, the applause grew louder as I finished my sentence. Today's valuation isn't the finish line. It's proof that persistence matters. The room felt smaller now. Tighter. Like the air had shifted. Logan glanced at his sports car through the window, then back at the TV, then at me. His earlier confidence was gone, replaced by something fragile and uncertain. So, he said quietly, you're rich? I smiled just a little. I'm successful. Victor straightened, forcing a laugh that didn't sound like him at all. Well, why didn't you say something sooner? I looked at him for a long moment. Then I said, because you were too busy telling me I was struggling. The TV erupted in applause again. And for the first time in my life, the silence from my family felt better than any apology ever could. The applause from the TV faded, but the silence around me didn't. No one rushed to congratulate me. No one knew how. Victor was the first to move. He cleared his throat and straightened his posture, the same way he did whenever he wanted to take control of a room. Well, he said, forcing a smile. That's impressive. I nodded once. Thank you. Logan ran a hand through his hair, pacing near the patio door. I mean, this is crazy, he said. Why didn't you tell anyone? We're family. I watched him carefully. Family doesn't usually need proof to believe in you. That stung him. I could tell. My aunt stepped closer, her voice suddenly soft. Rory, honey, you must have been under so much pressure all this time. I smiled politely. I handled it. Inside, The TV switched to commentary, analysts discussing growth charts, market impact, future expansion. My name appeared on the screen in bold letters beneath my face. Logan stared at it like it might disappear if he blinked. Victor chuckled again, too loud. Well, looks like all that struggling paid off, huh? I met his eyes. It wasn't struggling, I said. It was building. The word hung there.
People started to shift.
Conversations restarted, quieter now, more cautious. A few relatives approached me with awkward congratulations. Handshakes that felt like apologies without the words. Logan leaned against the counter, suddenly unsure of where to put himself. So, Zenith Tech, he said, trying to sound casual. What do you guys even do? I tilted my head. You never asked before.
He winced.
I'm asking now. We create infrastructure software, I replied. It helps companies scale without wasting resources. Victor nodded rapidly, like he understood every word.
Smart.
Very smart. I glanced at Logan's sports car again. Expensive things look good, I added, but they don't always last. Logan stiffened. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The TV showed a clip of me stepping off the stage, shaking hands with investors. The anchor said my name again, slow and clear. Victor exhaled. I guess we misjudged you. I didn't answer right away. I looked around at the patio lights, the half-eaten plates, the people who had laughed earlier and now avoided my eyes. You didn't misjudge me, I said finally. You just didn't bother to see me. That landed harder than any insult. My aunt wiped at the corner of her eye, emotional now that success had given her permission to be proud. We're so proud of you, she said. I nodded, accepting it without clinging to it. I'm proud of me too. Logan straightened. So what happens now, he asked. Are you moving? Buying a big place? Upgrading your car? I smiled, genuinely this time. I already moved. Quietly. And I drive what I like. He glanced at his car again, suddenly aware of how loud it was. Victor shifted his weight. You know, he said, families should stick together. Support each other. I met his gaze, calm and steady. Support goes both ways. The group fell quiet again. I reached for my purse. My phone buzzed with messages. Congratulations, headlines, photos of the broadcast from people who had believed in me when this family hadn't. I turned toward the door. I should go, I said. Logan blinked. Already? Yes, I replied. I've got an early flight. Victor's eyebrows shot up. Flight? Where? Back to work, I said. We're opening 2 new offices. He nodded slowly, humbled. As I stepped toward the driveway, Logan called out, Rory. I turned. He hesitated, then said quietly, Congrats. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I smiled. Thanks. I walked past the sports car, past the patio lights, and into the night, knowing I didn't need their approval anymore. Because the life I built didn't need permission to exist. And for the first time, that felt like freedom. The next morning, sunlight poured through the wide windows of my new place, spilling across hardwood floors I'd picked myself. The city stretched out beyond the glass, quiet, steady, real. No noise. No judgment. Just space to breathe. I stood there with a mug of coffee, phone in my hand, watching messages stack up. Headlines. Investor emails. Notes from my team already deep into planning meetings. And, buried between them, a text from Victor.
Proud of you.
Always knew you had it in you. I stared at it for a long second. Then I set the phone down without replying. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. Later that day, I pulled into the Zenith Tech headquarters. Clean lines, glass walls, the logo shining above the entrance. A year ago, this had been a rented floor with borrowed desks. Now it felt alive. My assistant met me at the door. They're ready for you, she said, smiling. Inside the boardroom, my team stood as I entered, not out of obligation, but respect. People who had stayed late with me, who had believed before there were numbers to prove anything. We didn't talk about valuation. We talked about impact, about the cities we were expanding into, about the people we'd hire next. This was my win. Quiet. Earned.
Shared.
That evening, I stopped by the community center downtown. No cameras. No announcements. Just a room full of young women working on laptops, heads bent in focus. A year ago, I'd quietly funded this place after remembering how hard it was to start with nothing but an idea and doubt everywhere else. One of the girls looked up as I entered. "Are you the founder of Zenith Tech?" she asked, eyes wide. I smiled. "Yes." She hesitated. "They showed your speech in class today." I laughed softly. "Did they?" She nodded. It made me feel like maybe I could do something big too. I knelt slightly so we were eye level. "You can," I said. "And you don't have to wait for anyone's approval." Her smile stayed with me all the way home. That weekend, my family gathered again, this time for my grandmother's birthday.
Smaller.
Quieter.
Different. No sports car parked like a trophy.
Victor greeted me at the door, respectful now. Careful. Logan gave me a nod, not a smirk. Dinner passed without commentary about success or struggle. Just normal conversation. Real laughter. At one point, Victor cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology," he said, "for how I spoke to you." I looked at him, surprised by the sincerity. "I won't pretend it didn't hurt," I said. "But I've moved on." He nodded. "I can see that." And I could see it too, not in my bank account or headlines, but in how steady I felt sitting at that table. Later, as I drove home under a clear sky, my phone buzzed again. A message from my team. "Deal finalized. Great work today." I smiled. Not because I'd proven anyone wrong, but because I'd proven myself right. I had built something from the ground up while being underestimated. I had kept going when laughter was easier than belief. And I had learned that revenge didn't need sharp words or public humiliation. It just needed a life so full, so solid, that doubt had no place to sit. And that, more than anything, felt like a happy ending.